Happy weekend, traders. I hope you're doing well, and let's get this started. So, fun fact, I actually recorded about 40 minutes of this and then realized that my microphone wasn't working. So, we're going to do this again. I'm going to be quick, and we're just going to go through things as I typically do. So, grab your coffee, and let's get ready for another episode of Coffee and Charts. All right, we're going to start this off going through my watch list. We're going to be looking at the weeklies over here in the upper right, and then we have our dailies over here in the lower left. Going to go through quickly because as I did this before, I did kind of spend more time on some of the Discord alerts that I wanted to go over versus my actual watch list. So, all right, we're going to be looking on the weeklies. So what we have here is American Airlines. So this is always on my watch list. I have about 3 or 4 Dow stocks I trade Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I switch over to tech on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I also really just trade SPY as well as far as the indexes go. That's really my strategy, to continuously build a small account. And I'm going to be dropping those YouTube videos here shortly after I get to 500 subscribers. So make sure you share this video with your friends, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can start dropping content like that. Okay, so American Airlines, we did a 2-2 reversal. We're looking for a 2-2 reversal on the week over 1758 for a move to 1964. Now, one thing that I always say is look at this chart. Tell me which way you think this stock's going to go. Don't say you hope it goes up. Just say, where do I think it's going to go? And then you make your decision based on what you're looking at. So what are we looking at? Well, we have a month that's red right now. It's a 2-down month. We have a week that is a 2-down week. Nice buying, happened here to bring this real body up to the upside, almost hammer style, but it didn't happen. So my bias is still to the downside. Okay, so until I see something that says we're going to have a couple up weeks, I'm not getting in anything long, right? So I'm pointing this out in case you want to. You can do a day trade, you can scalp, that's perfectly fine. And I'll do that in my day trade account, but I'm not going to go get anything long and swing it in my, actual long account. So those are things to keep in mind. Downside play under 1509. Your next price target is going to be 1370. We look here on the weekly. Really, the only day that we actually had some buying snatching up was Friday. That's it. So, is one day worth of buying enough to say things are going to be moving to the upside? I don't think so. Not for me, at least. All right, what are these green areas? Well, I'll do it once on American Airlines, and you're going to have to use your eyes on the rest. The green areas are what I'm calling liquidity zones. I've said it in a couple videos before, but what I'm doing is I've always been told price has history, and I really want to see if it's true. So what I've done is take old zones where bounces occurred. I've done them on the daily. So I've taken areas where bounces have occurred, and I've extended that time frame out to 2024 and back to 2020. So that way I can kind of look and see if what people are saying is true. So if we're looking at this liquidity zone down here in the $15 area, and I scroll back, we had some, consolidation downwards, then we had a pop. Well, that's interesting. Okay. So if I come back this direction now, here's that pop we talked about. Well, we fell through. Now look where we're at today. We're in that liquidity zone. Thursday, we hit that liquidity zone. We did a little bounce. So wow, that's actually kind of interesting, right? So let's see what happens. The other liquidity zone I have is up here in that $19 area. Another one down here in that $13 to $12 area. So be on the lookout for those green areas on charts that I have. It's not on all of them. It's on some of them. But yeah, all right. Apple, looking at the weekly. 2-2 reversal, 156.74 to 166.48. Now that's going to be taken out of 3 bars, so that's always very interesting, right? A lot of people in our Discord are messing with 3 bars right now. So the question here that they're saying is the low of that 3 bar, the previous 3 bar, the 153.27, is that going to be an area of resistance? That's quite possible. Let's take a look. I'll turn that orange, and I'm going to keep that on my chart. All right, so that might be an area of resistance. Now downside, we're looking at under 138.80. For a move down to 133.35. Going to the daily right quick, there is a liquidity zone that I had drawn back from, I guess, this probably time frame in September of 2021. But there is a liquidity zone where we did get that bounce there. So things to keep in mind. AMD by far one of my all-time favorites on Thursdays and Fridays. It just has nice movements. We did get a failed 2 down on AMD and a hammer to boot, so that's awesome. So entry over the weekly entry would be a 2-2 reversal over 96.57 for a move to the high of this guy, which is 99.69, so $100. That would be my area to at least be looking for the initial price target. Now, what's this blue bar here? This blue bar is a gap fill. So if I scroll over, we did get there is just a moderate gap. Gaps like to get filled, so at least on charts. So let's see what ends up happening here, and my target would be about $100. Okay, and downside under 83.27 for a move down to 78.96. Liquidity zone. Bank of America. We're looking for a 2-2 reversal if things do continue to move to the upside. Again, if you're doing that where the sentiment is not necessarily long yet, right? You don't have that bias of long, that's okay. Day trade it. But you do need to have a certain account to be able to do day trades without getting smacked with the PDT. So over 37.13 for a move to 38.75, below 34.26 for a move to 33.70. Now, Bank of America, American Airlines, CCL, DraftKings, Ford, stuff like that in my watch list, they don't have big magnitudes, but they do pay pretty decently if you buy them in bulk, right? So the whole idea with a strat, again, is at least how I work it, is I'll get a contract or two on entry, right? So like, let's say we break 37.13, I'll get a 38 or a 37.50 call. All right, I'll get a couple of them just to test out my theory. And if we continue to get a move, like maybe we come down and retest and bounce back up, I'll buy more. I'll average in. Yeah, it's weird. We always say, or you always were told to buy low, sell high. Well, I mean, ride the wave, right? If it goes up, it's okay to pay a little bit more to be able to continue to ride that wave. That's kind of the idea there. That way you have now confirmed that the move's going upward with you, and you've already got an early entry. And on top of that, you can add to it at any point and then get out for a bigger gain, at least with more gains because you had more contracts. All right, so moving on, CCL over 15.62 for a move to 17.83, below 12.72 for a move to $12, 12.11 technically, but we'll just say $12. Now, interestingly enough, we did have a pivot machine gun set up going into Friday, and we took out one whole stop. That guy. Remove him. So one whole stop was taken out. Still haven't taken out the guys sitting here, and here. So I'd be looking out for some more movement on CCL. If it does continue to go to the upside, I do think it might actually be a pretty abrupt move, just because, again, we're going to be taking out a bunch of stops, at least on the daily. All right, DraftKings. I talk about DraftKings like every week, every couple days in my trade idea YouTube videos. But the one thing I really don't actually do much, it seems to be, is take the trade. I seem to always miss the move, and it's starting to irritate me. So I'm gonna have to keep a closer eye on DraftKings because it does stuff like this all the time. Okay, so we hit a low, 977, right? This is an all-time low for DraftKings since it IPO'd, and it rocketed back up. I would have loved to see this turn into a failed 2 on the week with a hammer, but it just didn't get that much buying momentum. So we'll have to see what it holds going into this next week here. But over 12.88, we're going to be looking for a move to 15.88. And then if you look here down on the daily, we're just kind of oscillating a little bit. So if you wanted to play a quick daily entry, I would still probably get in on the weekly trigger over 12.88. And then get that move to like 512, 510, something like that, to take out that magnitude there. Okay, next on the list, Ford. So Ford, 2 down, hammer candle, and 1, 2, 3, 4. No pivot machine gun there. So over 14.17 for a move to $15. Below 12.15 for a move to 11.79. I feel like I read that already. Did I? Is that CCL in a nutshell? Anyway, so that's going to be Ford, Facebook. this area is not a liquidity zone. I'll point that out right now. I'll go down here on the daily. It's actually a little mini gap that needs to be taken care of still. So we'll see what ends up happening, whether we fill it or continue to move to the upside. But this is really where I'm focused, right? We had some selling and then it turned into buying at the end of the week, just like everything else did. Just not enough momentum to take it into a failed 2. That's okay. But over 202.96 for a move to 224. And then below 184.78 for, I'm going to say, the first price target of 181.21, because it is that gap. At that point, the gas fill, we could end up getting a bounce there. Otherwise, if we don't, we're moving down to 169. That's going to get ugly. All right, Microsoft. Microsoft did not, kind of did what tech did, but didn't do it as aggressively, or like what Facebook did, I should say. So we had a 2 down on the week. But again, end of the week, the buyers kind of stepped in and tried to bring it back up. We just didn't get that, aggressive hammer type candle. So this is a 1-2, right? A 1-2. So we could be potentially looking at a rev strat here, a 1-2-2 reversal. So over 273.75 for a move to 290.98. That would be our price target up here, 290.98. Downside play, 250. That's my entry, right? Under 250. Wait for confirmation. So what I'd be looking for if I'm going to get into it short at this point, because 250 is a pretty solid round number for a ticker such as Microsoft. It drops below 250, it comes back up, messes around with that 250 level again, and then drops again below it. All right, so that's what I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for the fact that it can't support 250 anymore. And then we're moving down to 243. Okay. Sorry, thing froze. All right, my MU, that's next on the list. MU, very much like AMD, we're looking at a failed 2 down. And this is a nice aggressive one. Look at this. Look, real body is amazing here. So it's not drawn, but this daily and weekly entry are actually the same. Over 273.63 for your first price target of 73.90. That's not great, but MU does move roughly. Micron does move like about $3 a day. So realistically, 76.23 could easily be a price target. So could the 78 area. So could the 80 area. So if we do continue this move, this candle right here tells me that I'm looking at it, right, and it has a lot of buying momentum. So I'd be looking for an upside play in MU. Now, does that mean long-term upside? No, I buy weeklies. I really only trade what I'm seeing, and with this market the way it is, I don't want to get a leap and say I think Ford can hit a crazy high number by this time 2 years from now. Not saying you can't. I don't feel like doing that. I like to have my capital and trade what I see right here, right now. All right, so below 65.87, we're moving down to 63.58. What did I draw this for? This was an interest. I drew this liquidity zone earlier when I didn't have my audio working. It's based on this candle wick here and this aggressive drop here. So I put that there because to me this is going to act as an area of resistance. I'd want to see it pass through this liquidity zone very quickly, before I say, cool, I'm ready to, get something higher than, like a 76 call. Oh, go away thing. All right, NEO. Now, NEO, it's kind of following tech. It's always very interesting to me. So NEO, we had a 2 down, but it really wasn't a hammer candle because the real body wasn't big enough. But, goodness gracious, like it's barely a real body. But over 1468 for a 2-2 reversal, we're moving to 1822. Now, this actually doesn't necessarily, this could be a 3-2-2 reversal since that is a 3-bar. So one thing that folks are experimenting with in the Discord, and I'm always curious to see how this works out, so I'm going to go ahead and put it right here too. That guy, and I'm going to make it orange, and I'm going to call it a 3-bar. Because the question is, does it act as resistance? Right? So I'm going to go ahead and say, there we go. So is this going to act as some future resistance for us? Like, are we going to reject going up through that and then we're just going to drop back down? So that's, oops, wrong one. So that's something that I'm going to keep an eye on there. But anyway, over 1468 to 1822, that'd be a big move. Downside 1167 to 1046. So we are coming at we are sitting here at kind of the bottom of a broadening formation. I drew that on the daily. Just make sure I did draw it on the daily. Yeah, and I connected it with that latest nice low that we had there on Thursday. So yeah, let's see what ends up happening. But again, we like to trade what we see. What I'm seeing right now is a lot of buying happening, but it did happen, right there at the end of the week on a Friday. So it could have just been, quick moneymakers trying to stop some people out before a bigger drop, right? That's what a lot of these pullbacks end up being, whether it's an upside pullback or a downside pullback. We want to go ahead and create some liquidity before we drive it down further. So what we did here, almost did here, is actually create some liquidity, taking out, people on 5.9, 5.10, 5.11, and definitely on 5.12. So almost taken out 5.10, I'm sorry. So liquidity is created. Do we get a bigger move up before we drop down again? Let's see. Only time will tell. All right, QQQ. So again, with all the tech, you just see a common theme when you're sitting here looking at tech, right? Versus like SPY. But so a failed 2 down, or I'm sorry, just straight up 2 down. Not a hammer, but that's pretty nice. So we could be looking at a 3-2-2 reversal. So 2-2 reversal here. I'm just gonna say the previous candle on the weekly over 309.35 for a move to 330.29, below 284 for a move down to 280 and then 276. Now my question is, why did I make those blue? Because I don't remember. Let's go back, scroll here. There's a gap. That's why. Little tiny gap over here. So I made those blue because there's a gap. Probably should label that since I didn't remember why I made a blue. But there is a liquidity zone sitting down in this area too. So that is something that I am going to be aware of. There's also a liquidity zone I drew down here around the 270 area. So again, just big bounces up, right? Like it came down, bounced, big bounce up. Probably should be a liquidity zone sitting around here too. I haven't drawn it, or here, but as we start moving back towards upside, I'll start drawing things a little bit more in clarity. All right, SPY. SPY, very similar to QQQ, except we actually have a hammer candle. It's just not a failed 2. So we have a 2 downs, 3-2-2. We'd be looking for a 3-2-2 up if we're going to be looking for a reversal. So 406.41 to 429.66. Below that, into this liquidity zone, 385.15 is our entry, and then we start seeing some pretty quick resistance at 381, 372 liquidity zone. Yeah, that's SPY. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to go over, and that's why I went through through this stuff so quickly, were the setups that are out in the weekly channel that get put out there at the end of the day on Friday to give us our weekly setups. So I'll let you take some screenshots of these as we go through, because I'm not coming back to them. I'm going to be sticking with my charts, but these are some of the setups that I'm curious about, right? I'm looking at things with hammers. So like I like the PMG upside play, PayPal with a hammer, if we do continue an upward movement, obviously. We have some failed 2s I'm going to look at, and then just a plain old 2-1 setup where I'm going to explain why, in this case, I don't think this is a good setup to take, even though it's, a 2-1 with a hammer, yay. And then we have some 2 downs that we'll talk about right quick as well. So I hope you screenshotted those. We're moving on. All right, so the first thing that I wanted to look at was PayPal. Now, because I made a video and then didn't have any audio, I already have this charted out. So PayPal was a PMG upside play. Why? Well, what we have here is a bunch of higher lows or lower highs. Gosh, I say that backwards every time. A bunch of lower highs, 5 consecutive or more lower highs. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this guy would make 6. So what we're looking for is a 2-2 reversal that's going to start taking out stops, right? Like this is the whole mentality behind a pivot machine gun. The reversal quickly takes out stops. So what is it? What do I mean by that? Well, okay, so up here, let's say somebody decided that we're going to go PayPal, it's going to go short. So they bought in, you know, on this candlestick here at some point, probably up at the top, because that's what, you know, the market makers like to do. They're the ones that really dictate the moves here. So at 122.90-ish, you know, they're going to set a stop, you know, somewhere a little bit above this. So let's say that guy with this red line is a stop, that guy. So here we go. I'll make it red or whatever color that is. So that's our stop. All right. So then now some people saw this moving downwards and they got in on a 3-2 break. So that is where their stop is. And then some more people got in on a 2-2 break. So there's more stops. And some more people got in down here, and that, make that red. And yet some more people got in on that 2-2 break. Edit that, make that red. Okay, so now we have our places where people got in and where their stops are likely set if they haven't got out of a play, right? Like at least when you're down or when you're in profit, the idea is to go set it to break even. Or you're going to go set it, well, I got in at 110.11. I don't want to hold it after, you know, I don't want to hold it if it's reversing, right? Like the people that spent hundreds of millions of dollars getting their position, you know, they don't want to hold it if it's going to be taking a hit. So they're going to get out. So anyway, so as a pivot machine gun candle happens here, what ends up going down? Let me remove this here. So we start seeing the day, right? So okay, here's our day. We're going up. What do we already do? Well, we took out this stop here. The people that got in and set their stops right there. Okay. So now we're going to move up a little bit more. Uh-oh, what do we do? Well, we took out those stops now. So what's happening is liquidity is getting created so that there's more to sell, right? Like, I mean, this is the whole mechanic of the stock market. You got to create liquidity, supply and demand, right? That type of thing. Now that's a pretty aggressive move for PayPal, so let's stop there. We're going to be more realistic. So that's it. So right, that's what we're looking for with a pivot machine gun. We want a 2-2 reversal to the upside in this case to start taking out stops. Now when you take out stops, the movement gets pretty aggressive because you've created liquidity and now people are going to swoop in and buy, right? That's kind of the idea here. So one of the setups that we look at here in a little bit, I'll be able to explain that a little bit better, but this is the mechanics behind a pivot machine gun and why you get these big candle moves to the upside. Okay, the next one on the list is actually that example. So this is LVS. This is in the failed 2 category. So failed 2 on the week. Why? Well, it is a failed 2. It's a 2 down, but it went green, and it's a hammer candle. So why do I like this? Well, candle psychology tells me right here that the buyers have stepped in and said, enough is enough. The 29 area is where we think this stock is a good buy. So people swooped in and started buying it up. So we'll be looking at a 2-2 reversal because this is still a 2 down candle. So we're looking at a 2 down, a 2 up reversal. So over 34.88 for a move to 37.45. Now, if I think it was on the daily. Yep. So the daily, this is a perfect example. Let me clear out these lines there. So what do we have here? We have a pivot machine gun that has been setting up since May 4th. All right. So what do we got? Well, this candle that happened on Friday straight up took out stops galore. Took out those stops. Took out those stops. Those stops. Those stops. See what happened there? Just like that, a bunch of liquidity got created. People that went in short got stopped out because of one whole candle. Now let me put those back in there and look at what's happening over on the 5-minute chart. That's what's over here on the right-hand side. So right off the open, anybody that had, you know, their sell order, you know, like if price gets above 31 or 30 bucks, 30.80, whatever, we're out of here. All right, the people, now that happened quick, right off the open pretty much in 15 minutes. Boom, look at the aggressive move up though. After it took out these guys at 32.40, aggressive move up. took out these guys. Well, we teetered a bit, but then the failed 2 down comes into play, and then an aggressive move up. Okay, now we're sitting here at this stop. Now this one, we touched it. We didn't really, like that. That's why, I mean, this is also a price target, right? So we touched it. We come back down. We're retesting now because it's lunchtime, afternoon. Okay, boom. Now, eventually, people come back at the end of the day, and they see that, okay, well, it did seem to hold. Let's move it up a little bit more. So now, I mean, these stops got taken out earlier on, but I just wanted to point out the mechanics of what's happening there, okay? So that is a pivot machine gun. This is what we like to see. This is like the perfect setup here, to at least explain it to you and how that worked. Now, why would have this been on my radar? Well, the Strat bot in the Discord would have told me that this was a 2-down continuation, and we would have probably seen a fail 2 in there on the daily. That would come back as a fail 2 down. So I would have looked at it and said, so we have a pivot machine gun, a fail 2 down right now. Yeah, if that gets over 30.69, I'm probably going to go look at buying something. But I didn't. That's just me, hindsight being 2020. But anyway, that's what the nice thing is about a bot, spitting out alerts for you instead of you having to go find these plays. All right, so anyway, back to that. The failed 2 down, entry over 34.88 for a move up to, move that guy so I can actually give you a good level, 37.45. All right, next on the list, we're going to be looking at IWM was the next one. All right, so I don't personally trade IWM. No particular reason. It's just I like SPY a lot better. So we're looking at almost a pivot machine gun. Why? Well, that level is a little bit higher, but this particular candle right here, this failed 2 down, that negates the pivot machine gun because it didn't actually make, technically this was fine. This 3 negated the pivot machine gun, I guess. So yeah, anyway, we don't have a pivot machine gun. So what we're looking at is a potential 2-2 reversal. It is a hammer because the real body is kind of to the upside. I would have liked to see, again, I like to see things, more in the fail 2 hammer, but IWM 182.65 to 193.93 for an upside potential reversal there. All right, XLY. That's next. That has a hammer as well. What is an XLY? So I made a command. It's in the Discord. You can always type it in. It's .holdings and then tells you, and then you type in the ticker like XLY. Anything in the spider, the select sectors there. So that's going to tell us that the top 10 holdings in XLY are Amazon, Tesla, McDonald's, Home Depot, Nike, Lowe's, Target, Booking Holdings, I don't know what that is, Starbucks, TJ Maxx, Dollar General, General Motors, and Ford. So if XLY breaks out, any of those stocks I listed are likely to move with it to the upside. So if we do get this move over 156.86, we're moving to 169.86. Again, a hammer candle is always a nice piece of candle psychology because it tells us the buyer stepped in and kind of at least brought it up. I would have liked to see this more in the failed 2 section so that I could say, like, with a lot more certainty that I think next week we'd be looking at maybe some quick upside move. But it's not a failed 2 down. Okay, so last one is Oxy. Oxy is a 2 up 1, and this is an example of a play that I don't want to take right now. Why? Well, the magnitude sucks. So the entry for Oxy would be over 64.47, and I'm going to remove that. Keep that in mind, 64.47, and your price target is 64.98. What did I say, 64.47? I don't even remember anymore. Yeah, 64.47. So you have 50 cents. That's crap in magnitude. So I avoid plays like this. What I want to do is find plays where I can actually benefit from the magnitude, right? And this is a weekly level. That whole level thing, that's something, the week magnitude, I'd be expecting that maybe on like a daily, but not a weekly. So as of right now, I'm going to be sitting out of Oxy until we probably break above 64.98 to see what is there then from a magnitude standpoint. Next would be, yeah, so next you're looking at 68.83, right? So if we break above 65 bucks, a $3 move sounds a lot better to me. A $3.80 move sounds a lot better to me. So I'd be looking at that. Okay, so that's the upside play. Again, 2 1s. They could go either direction, but a lot of times that's dictated by the fact that the 1 bar doesn't have a real body that is a hammer. So to the downside, if that were to happen, it's going to be under 56.91 for a move to 53.95. So that's the thing about 2 1s, right? Like I said, either way they could go, but to me, this hammer candle says that it wants to move up a little more. Okay, last but not least, somebody always asks me to chart Tesla, so I did that on the last video. I literally recorded the whole video and then was rewatching it just to make sure that it got everything, and then, oh, like, no audio. So Tesla was the last thing I did go over. So, all right, so Tesla is a 2 down on the week, not a hammer candle, real body's too big. But what we do have here is a potential 2-2 reversal. Actually, it's a 1-2-2, so we'd be looking at a potential 1-2-2 rev strat. So over 845.63 for a move to 955.50. God, the numbers always impress me with Tesla. I don't personally play it, but anyway, so below, if we did just a 2 down continuation, below 680 for a move to 646 and then 621. Now, what I did do in that last video is I made the broadening formation, yay, and then I went and did a liquidity zone based on this 3 bar, the little tiny wick of the 3 bar, and the very aggressive move to the upside. So that's, we kind of popped down through that liquidity zone last week, and then we kind of settled in it. So let's see what this coming week holds. After hours on Friday, looks like Tesla went up a little bit, not much, in the scheme of things. But anyway, so 2-2 reversal over 84.63, just a 2 down continuation under 680. All right. So with that being said, that is going to conclude our coffee and charts for the week. I really want to thank you for joining, and make sure that you like and subscribe to this video. Please share. What I want to be able to do is bring knowledge to everybody and help people make money. So anyway, definitely enjoy your trading. Happy trading this coming week. Have a good week.